May I now invite NRSC scientist Dr. C Jayanthi to deliver his address at today's event.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege to be talking to you all people about what have been and what are our experiences uh, in the domain of urban affairs in India. We too come from the technology stakeholder community, like some of you. So whatever perspective that I am giving is basically from that side that I am going to talk about. And basically some of these challenges I try to list it. These are I try to rate my works in terms of the challenges, how we have been looking at. In terms of urban planning, about only 20% of our towns and cities have plans. That is one thing. Then
I think you have kindly raised the mic, huh?
yeah, sure, sir.
Yeah.
And the growing urban populations have been pressing hard for requisite infrastructure, and the dynamics of changes in the urban land use have been very, very fast paced. So, in terms of these things, there is another dimension that is coming in, which has been talked about by my previous speakers. That is the embracement of these technologies or the data sets, etc., by the urban local bodies. This has been one of the cornerstones in some of the recent works which we have been doing. In fact, Mohammad Monis Khan, when he presented also, while deciding on that particular project also, we have made some kind of a concerted efforts in the direction. I will talk about it in a short while from now. Coming down to the ones that we come from, that is Earth observation technologies, they are time intensive and data intensive. And field data collection and updation is one of the most critical gray areas for Earth observation related technologies utilization for urban applications. So technology in terms of remote sensing or something like that, UAVs, etc., can take you to some extent in ameliorating the urban problems and finding solutions. But bottom line is somewhere along the line there has to be a hand holding or a shake hand from the ground section also. So this is one thing. The data sources, as we are all aware, VHRS data, that is very high resolution satellite data that we talk about. The aerial data sets that we have, Munshiji knows it, all these things from our side also. Then UAVs and terrestrial, these are the basic technologies that we play with. And in terms today, one more area where I wanted to emphasize is just when we started our journey in the urban domain way back in about early 90s, we have been like, very much straitjacketed, like, this is what remote sensing can give. So we were looking at that perspective. We were coming from that perspective. So in terms of percolation of the technology into the user domain, it was there have been some kind of a means early users or some people, some organizations who have come to us. But whether having given their projects, having executed those projects, where are the products? How have they been assimilated into their solutions? That has been a very, very gray area for us. Most of them have been confined to the cupboards kind of a thing. The initiators who have initiated the projects, so long as they were there, the solutions have been assimilated into their problems amelioration. But subsequently, once it is done or something like that, probably they have not been done. So of late, what we have been trying to do is how to make user also a part of our effort. This is the bottom line of the present trend that we have been trying to do with. So contributions from the ISRO setup that we talk about today, uh, we are working hand in hand with basically MOHUA, that is Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. We have been trying to help them and various state governments and the regulatory bodies like NCR Planning Board, etc., in terms of finding some kind of solutions for them. Besides, also trying to build capacities in their respective organizations, and also trying to, on our own, trying to find some kind of a value addition for the products by themselves. So these have been some kind of a thing. So I'll just try to give you. This is what I talked about earlier. This is the starting point of our journey, so to say. Way back in early 90s, we started with urban mapping scheme. Then today we are talking about Amrit 2. The journey has been about 2 to 3 decades. So many urban departments have come to us, and many governments have come to us, and we have been trying to find solutions and trying to give. Uh, some of the one of the biggest game changers for us has been the National Urban Information System (NUIS) scheme, which has been promulgated under the JNNURM mission, wherein what we tried to do was, for the first time, we tried to give a kind of full-fledged, multi-thematic, high resolution database to the urban local bodies. We have also created a facility for them through another web application called Bhuvan NUAS, which facilitated accessing and also formulating a GIS-based master plan. All in all, just to cut short the whole thing, what has happened is post that one, the for 152 cities we have generated that database, and once the data is generated, there have been some master plans which have been formulated also. There is a inventory of land and natural resources which has come out as a key takeaway for us, and these things could be done only for about 23 towns. We have done database generation painstakingly for 152 towns. Ministry has paid. We have delivered. 23 towns have generated master plans. Nearly about a seventh of the data generated ended up in master plans. Why did this happen? Because ultimately there is a gap in our understanding or in both the urban local bodies and the data providers connectivity. This is what means I'm trying to bring it in the perspective of what is happening in current today's context. I'm just trying to talk about. It is not a mistake of the urban local bodies. It is not a mistake of NRSC or ISRO. It is a gap which was not thought of when the project was executed. Like, the database that was generated to the best of the technology that was available in vogue on that day, we have generated at 1:10,000 scale. There have been technical consultations with the ministry, with all the town and country planners who formulate the master plans for each and every city. We have agreed to that the mapping had to be done at 1:10,000. But by the time we have done it in 2010 and we came off, there have been better technologies in the market, and the town planning community realized that 1:10,000 scale solution is not exactly delivering the requisite data for master plan formulation. But nonetheless, this was kind of, it was a benchmark project for ISRO and the TCPO and MOHUA, because it has shown some kind of it has shed light on the fact that yes, for the urban planning, GIS can be a solution. Then there is a systemic policy intervention there immediately after the NUS project. This policy intervention is what is called the revision of the URDPFI guidelines. There is something called URDPFI guidelines, Urban Regional Development Planning Formulation in India. It gives you both technical and scientific and policy-wise guidelines how the projects, how the urban planning is to be done, urban and regional plans are to be done. They told that henceforth, any urban planning activity, either at the master plan level or at the regional plan level, should have the data sources ranging from high resolution satellite or UAV or any of the remote sensing technologies, plus the technology for making the plans should be GIS based. This has been a key takeaway. This in 2014, the ministry has also concurred to this one. So henceforth, post 2014, the Amrut project or Amrut 1, whatever now we talked about, Monis Khan talked about, that was the first project which clearly laid and came from the government as a full-fledged GIS-based master plan formulation project. That was the change it made to this thing. So, in terms of Amrut Geospatial Database creation, the extreme left one, okay, yeah, this is the design and standards which were generated, extreme left, and much of it has been talked in detail by Monis, so I will not spend much of the time in this. NRSC had played a key role in this, in Amrut project. We have been responsible because of our Earth observation capabilities and other things for nearly half of the 460 cities. It has been a voluntary, ministry has given a guideline to the states. Those states which thought that they would undertake the journey with NRSC have come with us. There have been states who did it on their own or with the help of some other agencies. 20 states and 238 cities, we have helped in the GIS database creation for Amrut 1. This is what we have done. Now, I'm not here to say anything much about the Amrut project, how much we did. My purpose of just mentioning it here is what have been the key takeaways here. The key takeaways again from Amrut 1 has been in terms of creating a uniform GIS database for all cities in the country, adhering to common GIS database standards. Whether a city is coming from Kerala, whether a city is coming from Gujarat, whether a city is coming from Assam, it will contain the same kind of GIS database structure. It is there. And it is updatable. Then, second thing is, because of this intervention, what we have done, in this project, we have taken a calculated step. That is, we did the database creation in two parts. Part one was coming from the satellite data, and once it is done, the pre-filled maps are assessed for their quality and sent to the partner institutions, that means the urban local bodies. Urban local bodies are made as a data generator or data maker for themselves. So whatever further value addition that is to come from the field, they have collected, they have ratified, they have authenticated the data. So it came, once the data is sent back to NRSC, NRSC has again put it in the database, total database, again verified it, finalized the database, checked for its consistency, and furnished it back to the urban local body. So now, what did this mean? What did this mean to the urban local body? Now they can no longer disown the database or confine it to a cupboard. They have invested their time and resources. They know what the data contains. Previously, it was not the case. So this is a systematic difference that we try to bring it into the Amrutman. So once this is done, now they are owning the data. Now nearly about 130 or 140 of the towns that we have given are already in master plan formulation. So we have contributed to the design and standards, the capacity building, and also the value-added products generation. Also, we have done. Then the third example I wanted to share was share is regarding the National Capital Region Planning Board, wherein we have a long association again for spanning about nearly 2.5 decades. For their RP 2021, they came to us in 1998-99 time frame, asking us for the remote sensing based inputs. We have provided that one, and they have taken it forward. They have asked for a revision of their regional plan 20. They promulgated in 2005. Then again they came back asking for revision of that RP 2021. In about 2010-12 time frame. Then we revised it up to 2015. Addition of newer districts has taken place. That also we gave that one, and subsequently for their new RP, that is 2041, also they have used our data. And Parvani Saab is here to say. In addition to the ones that we talked about, then we are also trying to contribute in the areas of urban infrastructure and environment and water security also. In terms of urban infrastructure, we are giving, in terms of site suitability analysis for the Ministry of Urban again, we have done, contributed and demonstrated. They have come out with a requirement asking us for identification of suitable location for locating sewerage treatment plants. So they wanted to undertake that one. So we have demonstrated pan-India, we have done about 11 cities we executed, and we have demonstrated that one. And those things, when it is in the ministry, they are trying to come out with the respect to this. There were some DPRs, etc. they wanted to undertake. They're trying to come out. We are waiting for that one. In terms of environment and water security area, again, we are trying to come out with urban water body information system. This, under the Amrut 2, the main emphasis has been rejuvenation of urban water resources, water conservation has been the main focus. So towards this one, what we are trying to do is, we have Bhuvan, probably some of you are aware. There is one Earth observation visualization and query analysis portal is there with ISRO. As part of that one, since 2012, we have been analyzing the availability of water in various water bodies. This water bodies information, we are analyzing it for the benefit of town vicinities to know the neighborhood areas, how many lakes and water bodies are there. That kind of a thing we are analyzing, and how the lake peripheral areas are changing in terms of decadal changes in terms of their land use, how to conserve lakes which are prioritized, So this is one project we are doing, along with the aquifer sustainability we are trying to address for that one. So some kind of an example again is illustrated for that one. This is ongoing. On 8th, we have a training program for the state of Uttar Pradesh for urban water body information system. Now coming down to, I have not spent much time on the energy and buildings, but coming down to the role of the geospatial industry or the private sector. Uh, Basically, Amrut 1 and urban water body information system and Amrut 2 also now whatever we are going to execute, and henceforth maybe many of the newer projects that we are going to embark upon. The geospatial industry is going to be a full-fledged partner in our endeavors. This is going to be there. Even in Amrut 1, way back in 2017, we have made a cloud-based GIS data generation facility for Amrut itself. It is there in NRSC campus. Some of you who might have seen or who can come to Hyderabad and have a look at that one as and when some of you feel like. So for Amrut 2 and other things also, what we are trying to do is, these things, then the cloud-based facility is available. It is, in those days we generated it with 300 manpower systems, so 300 multiplied by 2, 600 manpower can generate simultaneously. Entire Amrut data has been generated on that one. And geospatial industry, there is a set of empaneled vendors who have come through a shortlisting process. They have contributed to our project success in a great way. And we look to their continued support in all our future endeavors also. So I say thank you at this level. Thanks for the opportunity that is provided. Any questions I am willing to take. Thank you.
I had a question. In most of your presentations, explanations, you mentioned something around scale, sir. So, are you providing all this data on paper? Because I could not correlate the scale issue with a digital kind of data provisioning.
I'll tell you. See, the point is, when we talk to any of the urban end user, urban local bodies or the ministries or anywhere, where we talk about, they require the content to be commensurate with a scale. So if I were to use high resolution satellite data, let me say that if you are familiar with, because you appear to, I don't know. So 0.5 meters satellite data, say world view something, we're talking about. 0.5 means that about 50 centimeters, if it is the resolution, my content extraction can be of the order of 1:5,000 or 1:4,000. I can, for the sake of zooming or magnification, I can take it up to much finer or much coarser also. But the content will not be of that nature. So in Amrut case, when we talked about it, 1:4,000 was a requirement for the coordination with all the cadastre information. Generally, cadastre maps are at 1:4,000 or 1:8,000 scales. So we say that one is our data, which we have generated with very high resolution satellite data, is going to be commensurate at 1:4,000 scale. So for that one, if I have to make a map at 1:4,000 scale, I can take on-screen enlargement only by a factor of 2. So that means that 0.5 centimeters data, I can zoom it by 2, 1:2,000 or 1:2,500. Whatever I am seeing, only that bit of detail I will try to capture it. It is not up to pixelation level, I don't go. Because content has to be commensurate, otherwise no, simply for the sake of enlarging and giving you more polygons I can give. Hope. Thank you.
Yeah, excuse me.
Thank you
so much for joining us, sir.